Welcome to another episode of Crazy Wisdom. Today we've got a special episode for you, the listening audience, with Michael. And Michael is a AI whisperer. He took what we were teaching about Claude code about a year ago. I can't remember now, it's all mixed up. And as a non-technical business idea guy like myself, went and ran with it. And both of us are now pretty good at vibe coding. And so he interviewed me about this new world that we're entering. And so we have a lot of insights for you. I do a full share of everything I know at this moment. And I think that's pretty special. And I'm recording this intro to solve a specific problem I've had for a very long time of how do I just very quickly record video and audio in a way that I can pipeline it through all of the things I've been thinking about for many years. And we go into that in this episode about what I've built. So please go check out Michael's new application. And also all that stuff will be in the show notes. And please let me know what you think. Find Crazy Wisdom on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, and have a great day.
Hey, Stewart. Good to see you. How's it going?
Great. How are you doing?
Doing well. I'm actually very tired because I've been low on sleep trying to get my app live, so users can come and it's not buggy and it has all the stuff you need for a first time landing on the page. So I'm pretty tired. Yeah. So
when is the release, or when is the first release that you're going to do?
So this week, basically, so today a podcast is supposed to be released that I'm on, which is going to drive some traffic to it. So I want the landing page to be ready. Right now, it's just like a sign up for beta, but yeah, it's not completely. It's not everything's ready, but it's good enough where if people got on there, it'd be fine. Like there's no major issues or anything. But I'm kind of like in panic mode and AI psychosis right now. Just like 3 days of nonstop vibe coding,
Yeah.
It's crazy. So anyway, yeah, let's do like an intro for everyone. So I guess let me just start by saying I met you around 2 years ago. I think for the first time I came to an AI Whispers meetup that you had in Buenos Aires, and I just came to this small little room because of another guy that I met that was an Amazon seller. And there you were, and there was a group, and you guys talked about this thing called Cursor, and I was like, "What is that?" And there was a guy named Anthony that was helping me out, and he was like, "Oh, it's just you can kind of type and it'll code some stuff for you." I was like, "Oh, that's cool." It was completely overwhelming to me. And so that's the first time I met you, and then yeah, like a year later. Is when I finally got into vibe coding. So a little over a year ago. But yeah, so I guess you can do an intro about how, like what's your background a little bit? Why did you start that group? What it's all about? Anything else you want to mention about yourself to kind of orient people who you are?
Sure. So yeah, my name is Stewart Alsop. I have been an entrepreneur for a long time, and in 2023, I was working for this job at a company called Invisible Technologies. Invisible Technology figured out how to do RLHF, which means reinforcement learning through human feedback. And they were OpenAI's largest vendor before Scale AI came in, and before a few others figured out what they did and scaled it. And so I was working at this company, and I decided to move on. And I was in Buenos Aires, and Argentina was super cheap. And I was like, I could have lived here for a really long time at that level with savings and everything like that. I could have lived here for a really long time and a really comfortable life. But then things started to change very rapidly, and I quit my job. And I was like, okay, well, I got to do something. And so I just put out a notice on the WhatsApp group. All the WhatsApp groups, as you know, for those who don't know, Buenos Aires runs on WhatsApp groups, so you can find a WhatsApp group for everything. And so I was like, all right, well, I'll start a group to do what I was doing at this company, which was teaching people how to work with this new intelligence. And so started the group, and immediately people came into the group and were sharing really crazy stuff. And this was before AI became well known, so I had a sort of like ground floor view on what was happening. And so the people that first showed up were really intense geeks. One of whom, I'm not sure if you've met him, but Torin from New Zealand. He blew my mind. It was my first example of future shock, where we started this group, and then he put a picture of EEG sensors that you put on your head. So he had EEG sensors. So he was getting ready to do like mind reading, and then stick people together into a room. Did you ever meet Torin?
No, no.
Okay.
I think I saw a picture on social media where he had this like welded up
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so yeah, I started it, and then that's how we met, and met a bunch of people down here, and it's been really cool. Now we're getting into teaching people how to build robots, which is really fun, and might kind of relate to maybe what you're doing. I still don't know what you're doing for the web. I know it's e-commerce related. I just literally a couple hours before I went to this print shop, a 3D printer shop, and they're going to help me build the casings so that I can start to build casings around my new robots that I'm building. So yeah, that's a little bit about how I got into AI, and very exciting.
And you also have a background in Silicon Valley. Like you lived there for a while, right?
I grew up there. I was born there, born into it, and then it sort of shifted underneath my feet in the 2010s, and I knew it. I knew it in 2010 that I needed to find a new place to live, and it slowly got worse and worse. And then with the pandemic in 2020, it just became sort of untenable to live there anymore. And
Oh, you were there during that time.
well, no. So March 2020, I actually was on my way back from Colombia. So I was in the Colombia because I was going. I've always come down to South America for the winters, and so I was in Colombia. I was checking out Medellin, and then coronavirus hit, and so I was like, oh, okay, well, I should do this in San Francisco because it's gonna be better in San Francisco than doing it in Colombia. Get back to San Francisco. They declare shelter in place. It was not better, and so I immediately the next day went off into the mountains. I bought a van and I moved into the mountains, and I lived in the van. And I had sworn off cities I thought I couldn't find, because like Medellin was supposed to be this place where it was supposed to be this beautiful city with good weather year round, and I'd been looking for San Francisco. San Francisco is a beautiful city that's good weather year round. It's walkable and everything like that. And so like I've been all over South America to try to find another place like this because it doesn't exist in America. Like nothing else exists like
Yeah.
that besides San Francisco. And yeah, and so I just gave up and lived in the mountains for a few years, and then
And
yeah, go for it.
that was solo? You were just by yourself?
Well, that's a good question. So in March 2020, I grew up with a lot of people in the Bay Area who were all the people who, kind of like coded these apps and coded all this technology and are big in SaaS and all these startups. Like I've grown up around them, and they are all part of this kind of cult called scientism. And so March 2020 was this really interesting moment where I was just like, okay, well, I can't hang out with them literally because they're all sheltering in place. So I went into the forest and I hung out with a bunch of hippies in the forest, and so none of whom cared about COVID, which was very interesting, but also quite challenging in other ways that we can get into if you want to go down that path. But yeah,
I mean, I do want to go down that path, but maybe we'll keep it for a separate podcast.
yeah,
That's really interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, let's steer it back to like the business side. Um, so you started this group, right? And it's grown a lot. The AI Whispers.
yeah.
You've interviewed a lot of people. You have your own podcast, right? Crazy Wisdom, I believe.
That's right. That's right.
Like 660 interviews is what the AI told me. Is that
Yep,
correct?
that's great.
That's
Yep.
that's great. That's crazy. So, have you interviewed people who are running businesses, who are implementing things in businesses, or anything like that?
Yep. Yeah, I've interviewed a lot of business leaders. I've interviewed Keith Raboy. That was a big one. Keith Raboy is an investor in a lot of different startups. I think it was back in 2018. I interviewed him. I interviewed Stephen Wolfram, who's another sort of entrepreneur, but a little bit more in a real scientist, not a scientism guy. So yeah, I've interviewed quite a few business leaders, both before AI and after AI.
Okay. And what have you seen in terms of on the business side, like how people are using AI, embracing AI,
Mm.
Are they adopting it rapidly? Like, what have you seen?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. That was why I started AI Whispers, because I was in this company, and this company was ground floor of the AI revolution. And so with the AI revolution, what do you have? You have companies, foundational models who are building LLMs, costs 150 million, 200 million, 500 million dollars to like train these LLMs. And then you have a whole bunch of infrastructure support around the LLMs, and those are like RLHF. It's basically teaching the model how to respond appropriately, and also censorship. So they're also doing a lot of censorship, or they're trying to do a lot of censorship. They can't do it. That's my favorite part. But so yeah, inside of this company, I realized that a lot of these geeks, these machine learning engineers, didn't understand how to actually use it, because it's a large language model. And so to understand a large language model, you have to be a linguist. And going back to that whole scientism stuff in the Bay Area, they hate humanities. They don't study it. They think it's all woo, and so like they kind of study it. They call themselves poet, but only on their off time, and they just don't take it very seriously. And so I started to notice this, and so I started to like do workshops in this company of like, how do you actually teach people how to use this new tool? And it's very different. It's not like coding, as you found out when you first saw Cursor too, right? Like it's like that's like those are all tools that have been built for these autists who just like really love this coding stuff. And none of the humanities people ever want to go in there. I hated it. I tried for like 10 years. I tried to learn how to code, and I hated it. And then AI came around, and I was like, okay, this is it. This is the way that I'll finally build applications. And so, yeah, that's the big thing I've learned in companies, is that and it kind of intersects with this larger cultural change, which is like all the corporations are stuck on the welfare state teat. And so they're basically just kind of like, um, they're like protected corporations basically, and they get a lot of money from the government, and so they're not really innovative. And then like just in general, companies have this trend of like, once they get big enough, they don't care about certain things. And so there's a really interesting opportunity here, which is that AI can be brought into organizations, but they're also resistant. And the craziest thing also in those big corporations where people like learn to play the political game, although all the people who know how to play the political game are like doing it in a way that like doesn't allow for AI, because they're scared of AI. They're worried their jobs are going to be taken for good reason. And then you have another trend, which is like companies like Coinbase and other companies who are saying, "Oh, we're firing people because of AI," but really it's because they grew too big in the pandemic in 2021, and then they got a bunch of government money and did all these things and became horribly inefficient, and then and then like use AI as an excuse, because it's a really good excuse. So there's a lot going on, a lot of confusion. I don't think anybody's nailed it, because it's an education problem. Like AI is an education problem. You need to train people how to use it, and those same people are resistant to using it. So I gave you a bunch. I don't know if
Right, right. It seems like there's a small segment of companies that are willing to adopt it, and then most of them either don't know what to do or they reject it. And there's a lot of fear inside of the company itself because, I mean, most people don't want to lose their job and they feel like they will. So that's kind of what it sounds like to me. What's going on? Um, what so you've also, like, a lot of the workshops you've done are with non-technical people. I think mostly non-business owners. Like a lot of the use cases you guys are doing, right? They're just kind of like, what kind of stuff are you guys working on? And um, I guess like what's the demographic of people that you're seeing, and what are they getting out of it? That the people that are coming to your groups.
Yeah, and so AI Whispers has changed a lot too. So I, for 2 years, we were running workshops, or either workshops or events. It was kind of a mixture of workshops and events for 2 years straight. Every Thursday, I would just host this group every single week without fail for 2 years. And it grew really big. And then the sort of finale was at Dev Connect, when the crypto community here hosted this thing, and I spoke right after Vitalik and at L'Oreal, and like had this like giant experience. And so that
Oh
was
wow, I didn't even know that. That's awesome.
yeah.
Did you talk to Vitalik at all?
No, but I spoke right after him, and it was really funny. Like on this huge stage where there were a bunch of people, and so I spoke right after him, and the topic was blockchain and AI. And that was a really interesting moment because that was right as soon as Dev Connected ended. It was almost as if like it was planned. It was just like all of a sudden the whole air in the room for crypto went away. Like there's so much excitement about it, and then immediately in that week, just basically nothing. It was gone, which is its own interesting kind of thing. I've now
Yeah, I
forgotten
agree.
what the question was, but yeah.
Well, we kind of was. Um,
Hmm.
you got it. You got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
what events? Yeah, what events we were doing, or like, and so we had 2 years of running these events, and then I got tired of just running events, and so now we're doing workshops where we teach people how to build these things, like how to build robots, because that's also the thing that unlocks it. Just like you saw with Cursor and then Claude Code, what is the next thing? Well, we're going to vibe code manufacturing. We're going to vibe manufacture. It's going to take a lot longer. There's a lot of other hurdles, but that's what I'm most excited about, because like the same thing that you saw, same thing that we were teaching, is just like there is so much potential, because there's two things, right? There's we all have private tutors in our pocket, way better than Google, that can teach us anything about anything, as long as we ask the right questions, and as long as we are skeptical of its responses, particularly in technical areas. So technically, it's the best tutor that has ever existed. That's the education point, and it can also do things. So it can also agentically go and do things. That agentic stuff is really interesting because, as I learned at this company that I worked for, Codex and Claude Code and Open Code are harnesses around the agentic ability. The reason why it works so well for people like us who are non-technical is because there are 30 years of testing infrastructure where all the coder is built, which says yes or no. Did it work or did it not work? And there's just got so much infrastructure that the AI plugs into immediately. That does not exist in the same form in manufacturing, in science, in all these different arenas. And that's where like software as a place where tech exists, like the whole Silicon Valley is completely dominated by this idea of SaaS. Like everything else is in China.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, where I actually just found out about Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi moved their whole automation from China to Wales in the UK, and they actually have no all of the Raspberry Pis, which are other things we teach people about, are
Uh-huh.
all manufactured in the UK, because they early saw that they didn't have a lot of people to manage. So China only made sense if you have a lot of people manufacturing things. But because they did this like very specific thing, I hope they don't break it. By This is the Raspberry Pi. So they did this
Oh, they
very
changed it.
well. This is a 3D printed case.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
uh,
that's
and
cool.
and so they all moved to the UK, and because it's all automatable. The manufacturing itself is automatable, and they're actually a really big company. And so there are so many opportunities like that, I think, for manufacturing. And so that's where we're guiding AI towards, is like, and we would like to start having businesses. I have tried to teach some workshops where I invite a business owner to share the problem, particularly when we were doing the vibe coding workshops,
Uh-huh.
because then we could like really ground it in what is someone's problem. How
I,
do we
I,
fix their problem?
yeah, I really like how you're moving in that direction, because that's the next. I mean, coding's basically solved.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, now how do we make things in the physical world and get that automated? And like that's when the leverage like really starts.
Yeah.
When we can start making little robots to do little tasks and whatever, like
Yeah.
it's going to be fun. You're tinkering with little servos, but wait until like 2 years from now you're tinkering with whole robots or something, and you're making like a gardening robot that you vibe coded to go plant in someone's backyard and like pull the weeds for them or whatever, that has a solar charging station. Then you just hack the whole thing together. That's going to be really fun to play with.
Yeah. It's so much fun. It already is fun. I'm loving it right now.
Yeah, that's cool. I love how much you explore. And so, well, as you said, you don't have a technical background.
Yeah.
You've just fully embraced vibe coding and spitting all your thoughts into the LLMs and seeing what comes out. And you've built some things that are pretty cool. Like, I think you've come. I don't know if you imagined uh, that you'd be able to build the things that you've built so far, but I'm talking to you through an app that you built, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about some of the things you built and like how
Sure.
it's changed things for you?
Yeah, it's been such an interesting story. I think I got into the AI psychosis before it was cool. And it was really bad too. I think you were there too. The doom loops were so bad before Claude Code changed everything,
Hmm.
and it was just like so much, just a slot machine of whether it worked. And so we started teaching workshops for people when you needed to be technical in order to actually get it to do what you wanted, and that was
Hmm.
for about 6 months before Claude Code showed up. I remember when you came in and when you finally got it on Claude Code, I think Phil helped you to basically get it onto your Windows machine, and that Windows machine was such a difficulty in our workshop to try to teach people
Yes.
with Windows how to do it. It's the same thing with robotics too. It's the same thing showing up with the robotics, and
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, and so we just kind of yeah, I forgot what the question was. But
Just well, we're talking about like the things you've built.
yeah, yeah, okay,
Uh,
okay, let me yeah. So I had built a lot of web pages. I had built a lot of wrappers. We showed people how to build a chatbot, a wrapper on a chatbot, which, by the way, is actually a really good use of your time, anybody's time right now. If you want to use your vibe coding, build the chatbot, because of Claude was the best chatbot known to man, 4.5, and it's now a piece of shit. And none of the other ones, including Gemini or any of the other
Can,
ones,
can
can.
we can we
Yeah,
dig on that for a
sure,
second?
sure.
Because
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
When you say wrapper, you're
yeah.
basically like a pre-prompt to give it some personality. Is that what we're talking about?
So a chatbot. What is a chatbot? A chatbot is basically an API call from your computer to the server, where the server is giant GPU factories that serve inference. And inference is with an LLM you have two steps. You have the first step, which is what is the prompt to do all that different stuff, and then the actual prompt where it goes into the GPU, that's called inference, where it like does the stuff that I don't understand about, like the matrix multiplication,
That's what
all these different
the
things.
black box, the magic. Yeah.
Yes, the black box. Yeah, yeah. So when you're doing that with Claude, they've got their whole GPU system, the Chat GPT, and so a wrapper is basically taking that API call, and you can do it to GPT, you can do it to Claude, you can do it all those different things, and just building your own chatbot. And a chatbot is really simple because all it is a system prompt. They have their own system prompts. They've been leaked a bunch of times. You can find out what Claude was at 4.7. But the key problem, the reason why Claude was so good is they had reasoning. So they had figured out how to do reasoning combined with that system prompt in this way that they hired philosophers and sociologists and psychologists in order to figure out how to do that reasoning. And they had some amazing secret sauce, and I'm trying to reverse engineer it, but it's really hard.
That I did not know that. That's an
Yeah.
interesting fact.
And so the other thing, and the reason why I think there's two reasons why the quality well, there's a bunch of reasons why Anthropic decreased their quality so greatly over the past 2 months. One is that the Chinese were doing what's called distillation attacks, where they would distill all of the secret sauce. So the Chinese got it, and then what did they do? Well, they copied it. That's because that's what they're good at.
Yeah.
And then they got the secret sauce, and that's why they did it. Is because now with Kimi model basically gives you the reasoning that Anthropic has, and they do it for one
It's
tenth the
basically
price.
the reason that these Chinese models are able to keep up in performance is they just
Yeah,
prompt the shit out of the American LLMs to
yeah,
figure out how they're thinking, basically.
yeah, exactly right.
Uh, okay, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the prompting side of that. Like, so, like, there's layers to this, right?
Yep.
Because even the LLM itself, like, it's not just a pure LLM. It's trained and fine tuned to respond in certain ways. So, what's the difference between the API's fine tuning, like the model
Yeah,
itself, and then the other layer that's determining, like maybe more nuanced responses or things that it blocks you from or whatever?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the part that I'm kind of like. So I'm deep in the weeds on that, but only at my 20% time, because my 80% time is trying to figure out this problem, this application that we're currently using, which is a web conferencing software built on Daily, that is trying to do the same thing that Riverside does for me, which is record the web conferences in a way that does local recording on both sides, so that it's actually going into your computer. And but with the OBS is an interesting thing. I hope we have a recording of this, of whether it's actually going onto your local machine and actually recording it, and then bringing it back. So the chatbot is interesting because a chatbot. What are all the parts of the chatbot? Yeah, they have an API. The API call, I know that the reasoning happens on their servers because I think the reasoning is actually really, really token expensive. Like the Chinese figured out how to do what Claude was doing for way cheaper. There's the inference part as well. Inference. So when I use OpenRouter, OpenRouter depends on a whole bunch of people who are serving the Chinese models within the United States to do inference. One of us called Venice. There's a whole bunch of people who, a lot of crypto companies, once that thing that we were talking about after DevConnect happened, they all moved over to serving inference for OpenRouter, for all these other things, serving Chinese models. So there's this strange alliance between these large inference companies. Like one of the investable things that's probably not as well known as the foundational models is investing in these inference companies, because there's going to be an interesting thing happen there, or the same thing as cloud computing. And then they have allied with the Chinese. So then you have system prompt. You mentioned fine tuning. Fine tuning is really interesting. I learned a lot about this at Invisible Technologies. There went all the foundational models. What they did in 2015, they and actually interviewed people at OpenAI in 2017, 2018. There's a few interviews they did there. So what they did was they trained from scratch an entire model. In order to train from scratch an entire model, you need trillions of parameters, and you need the entire internet. You need to put the entire internet into your model. So every time we use a model, you query the entire internet, and because of the crazy math stuff, that you can get parts of the internet that are relevant to your query. Now, the other option is fine tuning. Fine tuning means either you take a model and then you fine tune it on new information, but it's also very expensive, and that's where RAG comes in. RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So those are two ways to kind of like take the model and make it better with new information, because in order for the model to know what's going on with the Iran war, you would need to either train a new model, fine tune the model, or do RAG. Those are the only three ways to do it. And you're not spending $500 million to train a new model and download the entire internet and rip off a bunch of artists. You're not doing all those things. You might do fine tuning, but even fine tuning is really difficult. There fine tuning small models. We can talk about small models because that's a whole other thing that I'm going to get into with the chatbot. But yeah, so you have an API that goes to their servers. And that's all done through OpenRouter for me on my chatbot. And my chatbot, I'm now actually starting to use it, and it's so crazy that Claude 4.5, it was such a good counselor because they had a bunch of philosophers and humanities people figuring out how to do this reasoning to give it the right harness, and then they took it away because it was so expensive. And it feels like a part of my brain has like left.
So we can't access 4.5 anymore? We can't just switch back?
I think that you can use it on OpenRouter, so I think you can still get it, but they're going to deprecate it soon enough. Hopefully, I know that they've got their own internal copy of 4.5, and they're probably studying it. But they had to make a very quick decision when they ran out of computation, because what happened, all the normies found out about Claude, and so they immediately started to just destroy their server inference. And so at that point, they had to make the Chinese thing that we were talking about. So all of a sudden, they had to like block it off.
It's really funny that just that comment there, because it kind of frustrates me a little bit. I don't know why, but the normies getting on Claude, and then they refer to that like the web app is Claude code. And they have no idea what they're even saying. Like they don't know that Claude Code was a terminal tool that was internal for Anthropic. Like they think Claude Code is a tab inside a web app. Right.
And here's the other thing that might kind of shed some light there, is that they're getting ready to IPO. So they need as many normies on their platform as possible so that they can grift the stock market. I mean, Anthropic is not grifting; they're actually a great product, but they did some things that really pissed me off over the past few months. So,
this is a tangent, but like I've always been annoyed by Anthropic's vibe.
Yeah,
like I could just feel it early, and then just get reinforced over and over again with the decisions along the way.
And that's I got a great so in November 2024, I was right as the election was happening. and it was right after the election, so after it became really clear who was next president. And all of the people at Anthropic absolutely hate the current administration. We don't have to go into politics, but like they hate it with a passion because they were all expecting Biden to win, and they had all made their bets so that Biden win. And I was at this conference. It was all the insiders from Silicon Valley, and the cognitive dissonance in that room, including that they had, I'm pretty sure, they had Dario speaking there, and the cognitive dissonance in that room was wild. I had to actually walk out of the conference because they were doing a biotech thing, and none of them could talk about the earlier cognitive dissonance with the stuff that happened during the pandemic. So I just walked out.
That's very interesting. Not surprising.
Yeah.
So let's come back to the software that we're on here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How did you build this? What'd you do?
We were at Rappers. We were talking about Rappers. We were talking about teaching people in workshops how to build Rappers, and that was really fun to teach people. But you can't really do much, right? Because like, why copy all these other chatbots that are already better? Now there is actually a reason to do that. But after that, after we started doing Rappers, the first project that I've had for a really long time in my idea or in my head was this software that I used called Anki, spaced repetition software. So that was the first app, the first system that I wanted to build, and that was right after Claude Code. It took a real lot of activation energy to like deal with the trauma and the AI psychosis of doom loops for a year. I finished that. It's the buggiest app that I have. It works. I use it every day. That's what gave me enough confidence to start thinking about other ideas that I've had for a really long time. And one of the biggest problems that I had was that I was paying Riverside, Riverside.fm. It's a great piece of software. They do a really good job, but they're focused on giving millions of people the ability to do what we're doing right now, and they're companies like professional, and so
How much is it? How much is
it? So it's $39 per month for the base level of software, but in order to get API access to my own episodes, I did a call with them, their sales guy. It's a great company. And so I did a call, and they helped me, and they wanted $1,000 to get a month to get API access to all my episodes. And without that API access, I can't do what you asked me before we started recording. After this, will we get a link? I couldn't do that with their software. And so I was like, well, I want API access so I can do that among many other things. So I can automate the entire pod. And I don't like to automate podcasts with AI stuff. Like, I'm not going to do any of that stuff, although I think there's going to be tasteful stuff there. But like the deterministic, like moving data from one place to the other, you need API access. And so after I built the software with the spaced repetition, I was like, okay, it's time to do it. It's time to finally build a replacement of Riverside. It was really funny because I told them on that first call, I was like, well, there's this vibe coding thing, and maybe I can vibe code this solution rather than pay you guys to do it. And it's funny because now I've done it, except there's a problem, which is my freelancer hates me for it, which is that the audio and the video, right now, as we're speaking, there's a bunch of clocks. So there's a bunch of clocks. There's my computer, there's your computer, and then there's another computer, which is the server. Both of our computers are uploading the chunks to that server as we're talking and everything like that. On your side, on my side, I see a bunch of things that tell me if things go wrong. In the first version, you would see those things too, but they were distracting. I'm not sure if you probably see a 100%. Like, that means that we're in full communication between the server and your computer. It's all uploading basically.
I see that.
And so basically what it's doing is locally, you've both the audio and the video on your side will have to stay on the call after we stop this, because both for my side and your side needs to finish getting it to the server. Because if you've ever done a Zoom call, the Zoom garbles the sound, the audio, and the video because they basically get it to the server immediately.
What's garble?
It basically degrades the quality of the audio and the video because it's going immediately. So you can leave a Zoom call and everything will be saved in the cloud, but it's really grainy and the audio isn't good. And so to get this to Riverside figured out. They have a version in Zoom that I was using until I started using Riverside. But Riverside basically figured out how to do it locally, and so it's kind of awkward because afterwards we'll need to stay on the call so that it can upload afterwards, which is something I try to tell my guests beforehand.
You
Is
know,
that
what's funny? This It's weird because I did a podcast a couple weeks ago, and we used Riverside. It was my first time on it, and the guy
Yep.
said, "Leave the tab open."
Yeah,
He told
that's
me to
another
leave.
one. Yep.
So they have something too like that, or I didn't understand why he was asking me to.
Yeah, that's because of this thing that I just described as this locally thing. If you were to leave right now, if your internet went off, I would stay in this because I have to keep my browser open in order for the call to remain. And I would send you a WhatsApp message saying, "Hey, come back," so that we can finish the uploading of what we were working on, because there's a time delay. So, I was explaining all that because the audio and the video, they all get put into this container that's getting sent to the thing, but they're all on different clocks, and it's a different network. So the time, it can't tell time basically. And so what that means is that every time I merge it afterwards, the merging process doesn't know what time your clock had, what time my clock had, what time the audio clock had. And in that merging process is basically like really complex. And it's been a really psychotic AI psychosis, 2 months of trying to go every day, figure out how to build a pipeline that will take all that information, all that complexity. And there's a lot of complexity there, and put it through this FFmpeg pipeline that stitches it together, that allows our lips to be moving at the same time as we speak. I've done one episode where it worked. I'm so close to finishing it. But this is the hard part about it as a vibe coder, as I'm sure you've experienced too. It's just like, I don't know enough about the problem technically that an engineer would have to know about the problem, or they would study it, and they've done enough studying it to know, like, generally how do they translate code into problem solving. I don't have that. I'm building it. There is a skill for vibe coding, and this is, I think, a lot of people don't know, is there's a skill for vibe coding. You can learn it. You have to build the intuition.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, I have no idea if I'm close. I think I'm close, but I have no idea if I'm
So
close.
what's the technical hurdle now that you're just to be clear, the one you're
That
trying to
that
solve
one,
now?
yeah, the syncing the audio files and the video files in a way that moves my lips at the same time as the audio is moving, so that if you were to
So
watch, yep,
I got you. So when you're playing the recordings back now, it's still a little bit off.
depends, because there's a whole bunch of dependencies there about the network, about how the call actually went with the network and the servers and the uploading and stuff like that. So it depends. So I've done one call, or one podcast, where it worked perfectly. All the other ones have slight delays. It could be milliseconds. So it could, Riverside promises anything above 50 or anything under 50 milliseconds, it can't do anything. But I never noticed this problem with Riverside. So that means that it's 50 milliseconds is really, really small. So it could be 50 milliseconds, or it could be 150, or it
You know
could
what's confusing about this to me to is that, like, since the audio, since it's local, the audio and video should be easy to sync for each individual.
this
That
gets
part seems easy to me. Not
no.
the syncing of the two people in the conversation.
That's what I can look at, is how to do it. Oh, interesting. That gives me a good idea, and I'll get it out there. So is just not trying to merge it first, because I'm trying to merge the two files first, is that get the sync on the host and the guest synced first. So just focus on the host and make sure the host, that's actually a really good idea. I'm going to try that as a strategy next time, tomorrow,
Okay.
to because we've got I'm the host, or, well, you're the host today, I'm the guest, right? And so we've got different tracks for host and guest. I try to merge them. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to just get the lip sync working for host and guest, then merge them together. I think that might actually be a good one.
Yeah, it makes more sense to me because it's like it's easy to do that.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
but both things should have connected at the exact same time, so it's like it shouldn't be an issue, right? So
That would be really funny if that's and this gets into like the critical factor. There's always a critical factor, right? But both of us as vibe, have you run into that? Have you run into not knowing the critical factor when you're building these applications and then discovering the critical factor?
Oh, absolutely, sure, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not
Well,
only
you
technical
don't.
stuff,
It's
right?
just like you don't. Well, yeah. Usually, it's like you just don't know what you're talking about. Like you
Yeah,
don't. There's
yeah,
something involved that you're not even aware of at all, right?
yeah,
And it's like
yeah,
discovering what that thing is, and then the AI is like, "Oh, you're right. Like, of course we should do that." And it's like, "Okay, thanks.
why didn't
You
you
could
tell
have
me
told
that
me that
before?
from the beginning."
Yeah.
uh,
And it might
yeah,
never get there. It might never get to that point where it can automatically tell you the problem.
I mean, it would like it has to be a system prompt that makes it think more broadly than you are
Yeah,
talking
tokens.
about, which it actually already does, right? Because you're always vague relative to the thing that
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing,
interesting. Yeah, that's a good point.
right? Like
Yeah,
like like by magnitude of 100 or something. Like every single time you speak words to tell, unless you're like change this font color to whatever, but like even then there's vague because like it has a hex
yeah,
code or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? So
yeah,
it's just crazy like that it's even able to do that. Like this is mind blowing, really. Like when you actually think about this stuff, it's like holy shit, this is like
yeah.
nuts.
It's magic. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is crazy. So um, what's the process of reverse engineering? How do you go about that?
It was really funny because I had a geeky Linux engineer challenge me when I told him that I was reverse engineering something, and he said reverse engineering is not what I'm doing, but it's some other definition that I'm now forgetting. But I do think that it was semantics. That reverse engineering is basically it's the distillation. It's the same thing the Chinese are doing for the distillation tax for Claude. It's like there is this feature. There is a suite of features called an application. I'm going to go figure out those, and it's so interesting. So this is a good one. I think will be helpful for your audience. So one of our AI whisperers, Eric is great, and Eric basically just teaches me all this different stuff. And so I showed him my process. Actually, it was a really funny process. So I'll explain what I was doing.
Okay.
And it was destroyed by Claude by their changes. Destroyed this process that I. It was awesome. So I had planning agents and coding agents. So I hate reading the terminal. I think I'm not alone. I think a lot of other people hate it inside the terminal unless you're a Unix engineer. And so I never read it because it's really small. I tried changing the font, it didn't work. And so I copy and paste everything from the coding agent window into my planning agent, which was in the chatbot. And so that's why I know the chatbot was so good, was because I was going through these long threads. Any sort of like planning, any sort of like architecture, any long term, like what is this thing doing, any education, I would do that all in the planning agent window.
And what were you using? What was the UI?
It was Claude. It was Claude chatbot, and so I would have like all the projects that I have. They would have a separate tab in my Chrome browser, and then each one I would work on multiple at a time. This allowed me to have like 12 coding agent terminal windows open, and I would just be copying and pasting from all the different ones, and then it would all be in this stable like project kind of thing. I didn't use the projects inside of Claude. Maybe I should have, but it doesn't matter anymore because it's dead. So the planning agent. So I would have the planning agent, the coding agent, and then the I would be in this long conversation. And how did I get here? There's like a the code. So I would just copy and paste all these different things, and then Claude changed their reasoning so it started and then Claude Code at the same time they did something else in Claude Code that so now I'm on Codex and what was I taught? It was Eric had taught me. Oh yeah, so I have this. And I showed him my AI psychosis, and he was like, "You're crazy. You're totally insane. Like this is a totally wild. Like like what are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. Just do it in the terminal." Now I am doing it all in the Codex terminal. So I've got my planning agent and my coding agent inside Codex.
It's great, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, Codex is amazing.
Yeah.
But he gave me this one tip, which was like, why aren't you using the deep research function inside of Claude? And so now I still use Claude for that deep research. So anytime I hit into a problem of like, well, how does Riverside actually do this? Or how does the other competitors to Riverside, all of which do a similar thing, which are Descript has this thing called Squadcast, and then Zencaster. That I used to use Zencaster in 2018, 2019. So they all have resolved this problem that I've been spent 2 or 3 months dealing with. Uh, and so I just have Claude do a deep research, and it goes and it looks at their hiring. So it looks at who they've hired in the past to know what technology stacks that they use. And then does all this crazy web search stuff to go find out like a very good idea of what they do. And so it takes 20 minutes. So I get stuck in this, like, what the fuck is going on? And then I asked the planning agent to give me a deep research query, put it into Claude, and then it comes back with like a whole bunch of really, really technical stuff that I don't
That's
understand.
interesting. I have never taken that approach before.
Yeah,
I'll put that one in
it's
my
really good.
memory bank. So if I need
Yeah,
it, I'll pull it out. That's cool.
yeah, yeah.
And so how are you? What were the steps of? Uh, yeah. What are you prompting? Like, how are you? Where did you start? Are you just like, hey, like, I want to copy this application? Did you take a bunch of screenshots and dump it in? Like, what was the process?
I have no idea at this point because it's been 3 or 4 months, so that initial process is gone. But the prompting stuff is really interesting because they called it prompt engineering, which is probably not a great name because it really is just a humanities discipline of learning about language and the ways that you can use language. I go on Twitter and sometimes somebody gave me a great on Twitter gave me a great prompt. I'm not even sure if they know that if they had it as a prompt, like explicitly. I think it was a joke. It was a shit post. But they said, explain it to me in genius terms. Explain it to me like I know everything already. And so like that, he was just like shit
Never done that
posting.
one
Yeah,
either.
yeah,
That's
shit posting, and it's actually a really, really good prompt because it just like because you don't want to put that on when
it
it's
exposes language you weren't aware of, basically, right?
exactly.
That's genius too. Like,
Yeah.
you've given me two great things to try. I love it.
I've got a bunch of so the spaced repetition app that I built. Anytime that I see something like that, I put it into my spaced repetition system basically. Um, yeah,
That Wow, really cool.
yep,
Um, okay, so I mean, you've come a long ways with this app. It's like, it's clean. Like, even the UI looks really good. Like, I'm liking it. Um, yeah. What else? Well, where do I want to take this now? Um, I guess well, what this illustrates is, like, you can basically do anything if you have a will to do the thing. Like like,
yeah,
you're not a coder and you have like some internal resistance to it
yeah,
more than, I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of people have this, like, that they have this terminal. What would be a good word for this? Like,
yeah. Self-limiting
aversion.
belief.
Yeah, it's
Self-limiting
just
belief.
like,
Yeah,
like the moment someone sees a terminal, they become an idiot,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, it's not complicated, but there's something in their brain that tells me, like, I'm not
yeah,
smart
yeah,
to type things into this black box.
yeah.
But it's like, no, it's just, I mean, it's like anything else. It's just like, it has some weird language, but it's not that complicated. And people are so resistant to copying and pasting.
Well,
You could
but
literally just ask questions like, what do I type here? It says copy and paste. What
you
do I
you
do
know
next? What should I?
you're saying that now, but when you first saw the terminal, you had the same reaction, right?
Well,
IDE in cursor.
well, I'll say this. I had a little exposure to MS DOS when I was in my teens because I liked video games on the computer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah,
immediately, because I
yeah,
wanted game to
yeah,
play game, you type in black
yeah.
box,
I
right?
remember that.
So that's I think, a lot of people never had that experience, and it makes them way more like, holy shit, what is this thing, right?
Yeah, but it's all because of it's expert software. So IDE terminal, Photoshop. What are some other ones? There's a bunch of them. They're all called expert software. We as consumers just use uh, consumer software. Expert software has such an insane level of degree of complexity that needs to be translated to the user through the UI and UX. It's really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy, Hans, I think his name, who I worked with at Invisible. He once gave a great workshop on this about how to design expert software. Uh, I was talking with my friend Eric, a different Eric, and he's a 3D designer, and he's doing these crazy thing in Blender Blender's another great example of expert software. You get in it, you just, as a beginner, it's just like, I do not want to be here. There's too much going on. There's too much complexity. He's now not using Blender. He's just speaking linguistically, which taps into this like really old thing that we have. And he's just creating software. He doesn't enter Blender anymore. He just talks about it.
Creating 3D models, you mean, right?
Exactly.
In
Yep.
Blender.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I went to design school, and I have a degree in industrial design.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, yeah. And so I spent so much of my time in 3D modeling software. And if I was in school, I would be just like eating this stuff up now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I've moved on. I haven't modeled in like a few years now.
But
Uh,
are you
but
using it for your app? Can you tell me more about what your app is?
yeah, so the app is it's called Genrupt.
Okay.
I think I got a pretty good URL. It took me a long time to find one
Good.
that I was like somewhat satisfied with, but it's an app that generates content for e-commerce sellers. So images, videos, ads, listing videos. It does market research. A lot of the tooling inside is based on Amazon. So
Okay.
like all of the research data is based on Amazon because Amazon has a shitload of data,
Yeah.
right? Like you can't just like research a niche by going to a bunch of
Interesting.
different Shopify sites, right? Because it's a bunch of different websites. But Amazon has, you know, hundreds of millions or billions of reviews that I can tap into. And so I scrape Amazon's reviews, analyze them to inform the users of my app how to create their content based on
Oh, cool. I like that.
based on my knowledge of what increases conversions on Amazon or in e-commerce in general. So like how do you appeal to your target avatar? That's the goal. So a lot of people like they don't know what to create. AI makes it easy to generate an image, but if you say make me good listing images for this product, it only goes so far like right
Interesting.
now because it doesn't have enough context. So I'm starting with the research as the context to inform how to build your listing images and videos. That's what the software does.
And on Amazon.
It's it's
Anything.
leveraging the data from Amazon, but a
Okay.
product is a product.
Yeah.
Like there are some nuances with Amazon that are more rule based that you
Yeah.
can't do. For example, on Amazon, like their main images of a product, they have rules. You can't just like put a bunch of text on the image. They don't allow that. On your own store, you can do whatever the hell you want. So there is a difference, right?
Got it. Got it. Got it. Yeah. But a
Right.
storefront is a storefront. So it's competitive with Spotify?
Shopify.
Shopify. Sorry. Yep.
I mean, basically, if you have an e-commerce store, my tool would be valuable for you because I'm really focusing on being able to create content at volume, specifically images I've really nailed down. So like if you're and this is, I've tried to reach out to uh, 9-figure brands and it's been like crickets on LinkedIn. It's very hard. I don't know if you have any insight into this, let me
Sorry,
know.
sorry.
I need to figure
Well, now
out
you got
how.
a podcast. That is the insight. Now you got a podcast.
Yeah, that is a start. Social media. I just got a hammer. Like this is so my journey. I've basically been working on this for the idea was birthed 1 year ago,
Yeah.
and I started vibe coding it in June. Basically,
Yeah.
I committed basically almost a year ago. I was like on the fence. This is kind of a little bit of backstory, but it's interesting because you can relate to it, I guess, or I don't know. It's like a shared journey here. Is where I was like, I started getting some angst because I first of all you exposed me to Cursor, like your group was my first exposure to like what the hell, and I didn't even like no light bulb went off that day. By the way, there was nothing. I was like, why? I didn't get it. I didn't get it. And then like just whatever social media, I started seeing some people doing some stuff, and I was like, and then one day, I was like, holy shit, this is the next thing. Like
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
clicked.
Yeah.
And then I started having angst for about 2 months. I was like, this internal voice was like, you need to do something with this. I already had a knack for building tools manually using spreadsheets, whatever, Airtable, if you're familiar with what that is.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
just was like hacking together stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, but now I can do anything.
Yeah.
And I was still like full time on my Amazon business. And then I was like, like I this voice was just eating at me like you've got to do this, you've got to do this. And then I just was like, yep, I'm going all in. And then that was it. I just like basically dropped working on my business, minimized that as much as possible, and just went all in on coding. we're almost a year in now, and I have this like full scale SaaS app, which it has a ton of tools, fully functional, and it's just been me and a little bit of help from some other coders, some
Yeah,
devs, one of
yeah,
which Hanif
yeah.
has helped me the most,
Uh,
and I'll just say that I was able to get, I would say I was able to get 90% of the way there on my own.
yeah,
The extra 10% is kind of the stuff we're talking about, where it's like you just don't know the technical things that you need to know
yeah.
to in order to prompt the thing or where to
This is
look.
this is where I'm stuck right now on this app. Is that, well, I'm not. I want to be stuck. I'm not actually looking. I want to see whether I can get the whole way, all the way to 100%. It's just that I also don't think just any engineer could solve what I'm solving right now. I would need a specific engineer to
Yeah,
like know audio visual really well. Or I think what we both share is we're sort of generalists who have just fucked around so many different places that we can kind of like have the intuition that helps us. And man, I think I'm so glad that it's finally over. The reign of the scientism specialist people is finally over, because now we can
absolutely.
take our intuitions to build whatever we want,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's going to get really
I
crazy.
think for people like us, our
Yeah,
personality types and the way our minds work,
yeah.
we have major superpowers. Like
It's crazy.
because we know so many things, and like I can see my edge on devs. Like
Yes, yeah, 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 yeah.
my ability to put out a product is way better
Yeah,
than theirs,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like they have the technical language, but I could brute force it. Give me enough time. They just
yeah,
accelerate that process.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting. But that's always what a founder does, right? Because a founder, that is a founder, I think, like a founder slash entrepreneur. There's different words that you can use,
Yeah,
but like
yeah,
that's the founder specializes into getting themselves into holes, and digging themselves out multiple times, not because they thought they could do it, or not because they thought it was hard, but it's because they thought it was easy. And incredible self delusion. Basically,
well,
that's the
let me
yeah,
speak to the
yeah,
delusion, and this has been a pattern throughout my life.
yeah,
Like renovating a house. I bought a house, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to gut this whole thing and rebuild it, and it'll probably take me 6 months. 2 years later, still working on it.
yeah,
And then this, in the case of this app, I do you know who Dan Martell is?
yeah. I've heard of him. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So he's a famous entrepreneur. Buy Back Your Time. He wrote a book. It's one of the best business books, by the way, um, in terms of just how to think about your life and your business and stuff.
Mm,
Um, and So I was interacting with him on Instagram, and he was asking me about my time, like where are you at? Because he has these like, communities you pay for to help entrepreneurs.
yeah, yeah.
And I told him my timeline, and I think I was like launch in 2 months at some scale in six or whatever. Like I had this mapped out. And it's like, no, I'm a year in, and I have beta users. Like I have like 40 signups or something.
Yeah.
People have come on, come off, nobody's sticking. The
Uh,
app's still not fully finished. And it's
Interesting.
just like there's my delusion. Like, do you think I don't think I would have taken it on if I knew how much work I was going to do.
Yeah,
I, I've literally worked every single day,
yeah,
probably averaging like not 9 hours plus per day for the last like 9 months, 10
yeah,
months, whatever.
yeah,
Like it's just been insane. Like
yeah,
it's not healthy what I'm doing.
yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've dropped my social life.
yeah,
I've stopped traveling
yeah,
because of this app.
yeah,
Like I'm all in,
yeah,
like because my philosophy was like, my approach was like, I don't want to let uh, I didn't try hard enough or I didn't put enough hours being an excuse for why my app didn't succeed. Right?
but so, and I got to go in about 5 or 10 minutes, but is that really the reason though? Is it really the words that you just gave me there, or is it something else that is motivating you? Like what is it at its core? Why do you do it every day?
Why do I work so hard on the app every day?
Yeah,
Well, be,
why did it, like a year ago, you said you started a year ago, like what is it, the investment you've already done? Is it what is the thing driving you every day to continue doing it?
yeah, I want to actually finish the project. because I want to I want to let it see the light of day. It is barely like I'm just now starting the social media journey, which
Yeah.
is like part two
It's this
of this
other thing.
whole
It's the whole
journey.
distribution and marketing. But you already know a lot of distribution and marketing because you're doing e-commerce, right?
Amazon does all that for you. I know how to make ads for Amazon.
Oh, interesting.
That's why people pay Amazon 30%. It's because they distribute logistically and on the platform, and Amazon brings the traffic. When someone types in Amazon.com, they're already going to buy something. When you have your own
Yeah,
store,
interesting.
you have to create demand.
So
Like
it solves one
people,
part of marketing.
yeah, Amazon. You pay Amazon for all of that done for you. Like it's lazy. You pay for being able to be lazy.
So are you looking at other like because that's Amazon? You're getting a product for people to use Amazon or what their own storefronts. How have you what have you learned about the other marketing channels of like Facebook, Instagram? WhatsApp doesn't have ads. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. Is it just social media and Amazon? Or, well, I guess there's ads on like podcasts or radio or TV and other things as
Yeah,
well.
so I mean, it's just going to be AI generated content. So, um, I'm starting with what I know, which is Amazon, like how to create Amazon content.
Yeah.
But my platform allows you to create ads, video ads for anything that you can post anywhere you want to,
Yeah.
including Meta. But I'm not focusing on that style of ad. Like in order to make your platform more appealing, you want to have automations for the masses where
Uh-huh.
there's like templates so that they don't have to reinvent an ad
Yeah.
every time.
Interesting.
You're
You got
just like, this is high converting, use this, plug it in, swap your product and it's done in 5 minutes. Like that's the kind of product that gets high volume. Not like right now in order to do that kind of stuff, you just have to have your own idea and more manually create it. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
Workflow. So it sounds like you're not building expert software. You're building what they call prosumer software, which is like it's dumb enough or it's easy enough that a consumer can just go use it. But it's also sort of professional as well because it's like, and that's what Amazon. I was just thinking while you're describing Amazon. Amazon is an expert software. It's not a prosumer. Like if I were to get on Amazon tomorrow, I would fucking hate it. But because you've gone through that so many times, that's like so it's not expert software. You're going to build prosumer software basically.
That's right. That's right. It's not like this is just a, Adobe Premiere with AI features. It's not
Yeah.
like that. It's like
Yeah.
this is like it does the research for you. It informs you what content you should make, and it's a guide. It's a workflow, right? It's like you click some buttons for the settings you want, and then it spits out content that's going to convert. That's the idea.
Yeah, cool. Well, I would love to use that for, I mean, if I build actual robots that I could sell, that's kind of what I want to start doing is get like build customized art robots.
I think that would be fun too. I'm very interested in that in the robotics, but because of what I'm doing, I'm preventing myself from doing this,
From doing
following the
anything else.
shiny objects. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I love the stuff that you're working on. And I'm like, man, I know I would get into this,
Yeah.
and my product mind would start churning, and I'd be like, oh, we could create this cool AI toy for
Yeah.
kids or like whatever. I
Yeah.
really want to do it, but I have to see this through first, Stuart. Like, if I don't do it, I'll regret it. So.
Yeah. That's really cool.
And it's like how much longer is this going to take? I don't know, but I'll tell you, I'm going to learn a lot of shit along the way. Like,
Yeah.
because now it's like, how do you
I think
post on
that's the
Instagram?
thing. I think that's the thing that really drives entrepreneurs or founders is curiosity of like a insane curiosity to figure out how it really works, not how we think it works. Yeah.
Cool. Well, for the sake of time, we won't try to dig in any more on your stuff. I think it would be cool to like do a little bit more of a show and tell. If there's like if you see something that would maybe be useful to like dig in a little bit, not like a complete how to, but more like these are the things that were done. These are the foundational structures I use to build XYZ thing. That would be interesting. I don't know if anything comes to mind for you, but
So it's really funny. The only time this call has stopped on my side was what you just said. Can you repeat the question?
oh, um, so so I'm. You can hear me now, right? So
Yeah,
I'm
I can.
wondering. Okay, I'm wondering if there's anything that maybe another time we can talk about it, but like anything that you could show that would be informative for people on how to build something, like the foundational steps to create a thing, whether it's software or a robotics thing, or I think more. I want to keep it in the lens of like it could help me in my personal life or business in some way, not tinkering. Does that make sense? Is that enough to go off of?
Yeah, I think, and I could test out my screen share. I'm going to show you my screen share. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. And this may cause some problems in terms of that stitching process afterwards. Uh, but this is the first app that I built, this system. Hopefully, I'm not putting my whole personal life on here. So I might blur out some things later. So let me find this one. Okay. So this is the spaced repetition thing. And this is basically the nerdiest, geekiest stuff. This is actually ontology things. This is all related to ontologies. Ontologies are going to become really important, really geeky, really nerdy. It's like a library of science thing. Netflix uses it. But basically, what I want to show is this system that I used that other people also use called Anki. And basically, this means that I didn't learn it, that I want to learn it again. And so then, but it'll give me a next one and context graphs. And so this is like other things. And then so if I say, oh, I already know this, then I'm going to put it out in 47 days from now. And so this is a way to basically, so the thing that I can impart to the audience is that your memory is a thing that you can improve, and actually is really important to improve because our ancestors before the written word, they used memory in ways that we don't currently do because the written word changed the way we use memories. And so you can influence this process, and it actually allows you to do a lot more different things and also just learn about a lot of different things. So this spaced repetition is really helpful. If anybody's
Uh-huh.
curious, they can DM
So
me.
so 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 this is it's basically you can put in whatever you want to help you learn and maintain your knowledge about anything. That's what the
Yeah.
idea is, right?
And I don't know where I put it. No, I do know where I put it. So we'll go back. Oh no, I put it somewhere else. So you gave me a book title, and so I wrote that book title, the Dan Martell book,
Uh-huh.
and I wrote that in this thing, and that means that it's going to come back to me over and over again, even after I've forgotten it. And this is
That is
another good
that's
example. Yep.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, actually, now I'm realizing I need something like this because, especially in the age of LLMs, you get so many ideas. They can
Yep.
go research a ton of stuff, and then it's just like it sits somewhere, and unless you remember to go back and get it,
Exactly.
it's just going to be stuck there.
Yep.
And,
And that's the
and so
most
the
important
next,
part.
that's really interesting. And so the next, I would like to do that on an agent level, not to where I have to manually go through. So have you connected your agents to that to ping you?
Well, that's a good idea of how to do that. I have not done a cron job type of thing of like trying to, but where my mind first went when you said that was like you're going to try to get over the step, which is the most important step, which is the recall, and it's like the most laborious grunt work to actually go and recall, do all these things. There is an important aspect to that can't be overlooked, but it's a good idea of how to. But you're still going to run into the problem of relevance realization. The AI agents do not know what is relevant. They fundamentally can't know what is relevant. If anybody's curious as why they can't, they should look at the work by John Vervaeke in his Awakening from the Meaning Crisis. He's a scientist who studies relevance realization. They cannot understand what is relevant to you because they don't have embodied space time. There's a whole bunch of reasons why they can't do it. But
Do you think that it's solvable, or do other people think it's solvable?
he doesn't. And after I did all those deep researches that I was talking about on relevance realization to try to build it into the app that I just showed you, and I do not think that they will ever be able to understand what is relevant to us unless we tell them what is relevant to us. I guess we
Yeah,
could train the
with
model.
enough training, it will directionally move that way and
Yeah,
never be perfect. But
but really important not to let Claude have that on you or OpenAI because you don't want to trust those actors because that's the most intimate knowledge ever. So really important to build your own version
yeah,
of that.
that's a fair point. That's a fair
Yeah.
point.
Okay, I got
Um,
to run. Yep.
okay, cool. It was a great talking to you. We'll have to do it again sometime.